Hey everyone, welcome back to Inventing Construction. I'm Ross Griffin, and I have a wonderful surprise for you guys today. Elia Gonzalez Salas is back from where I don't know, from doing what I don't know, but we're about to find out. Oh my God, the suspense is killing me. So Elia, where have you been for the last 6 episodes of the podcast? This is unbelievable.
I think you guys mentioned it was a secret mission.
Yes.
And the secret mission is secret for a reason.
So are we ever going to find out?
So you will never find out. Maybe in some of the following episodes, who knows?
This is it. Yeah, episode 25. Wait a minute, how many have we done? 1, 2, 3, 4. You can edit that out. It's okay. So yeah, episode 30. We're gonna tell everybody what that is. So today's podcast, we're going to be talking about technology development and is it really advancing our profession? Technology development, filling the gap, and evolving the profession. Eli, you're going to introduce exactly what that means. We're going to talk a little bit about what is the ideal end result, the steps taken to get that result, and then, funnily enough, ignoring those steps. So technology development, can you talk a little bit about how is it evolving our profession and is it really filling the gaps?
Yes, definitely. The entire industry is experiencing a transformation. We are experiencing the impact of digitalization, and with that, a lot of technology firms and software firms that are trying to get their space and develop software and develop technology to automate and let's say digitize and make more technological tools and applications in the construction industry. Now, the way I foresee or the way I see it happening is that they are seeking feedback of what is done now.
Maybe manually.
How has it been done conventionally, traditionally till date, and try to apply technology to do the exact same thing, just removing maybe the human hand, the human task, right? I believe that this could be done better. I believe that all this effort on trying to automate and digitize the current processes and the current ways of working, it could be
kind of improved or re-strategized and restructured.
Yes, could be applied not to the current processes, but actually to think beyond that. Like rather than digitize the way we work now, how can we actually maybe avoid that and do it better from the beginning? Right?
So perhaps removing. We talk a lot about efficiencies and inefficiencies. So removing elements of our current workflow and process that are actually creating no value, whether they're digitized or not. Why aren't we rethinking how we design and deliver our projects so that they are much more efficient with the available technologies that we now have or could have in the future?
I'm going to give you an applied example just to put context to this very long introduction, right? We have a software out there that recognizes and automatically measures 2D lines and gives you, this is a wall and this is a door with these dimensions. That's amazing. Like before it was manually. Yes, I agree. Now we are having artificial intelligence applied to this automatic measurement of the 2D lines. Now, why we are measuring 2D lines at all? And that's my point. Like we
should have 3D models and 3D geometry available.
We are putting a lot of effort on developing technology to do something that ideally we should not be doing, right? Why to measure 2D lines when the 2D lines are coming from an input or a source that actually gives you that information straight away without killing that information. So we are downgrading that information to then try to upgrade it again to quantify that with a very powerful, powerful tool with AI, right? Like,
and
why are we doing
that?
Yeah. Why are we doing that?
So why aren't we putting that effort, time, energy, resource, and cost into advancing the level of quality of the information in the 3D environment so that the output is even better? So why, again, downgrade to upgrade? Why not upgrade the current information so that it's even better?
Now, I encourage all these technology firms and software firms to keep pushing into the construction industry. There is huge opportunities. But I also encourage the construction professionals, or us as quantity surveyors, right, to rethink this. And because ultimately it's us, the ones that are not facilitating or giving proper feedback to these technology and software firms to focus their development. We are saying, oh, I would love to get this automated. And so they fill that gap. They're filling the gap in the industry developing these tools. But I think that that's us to be blamed, because we are asking to automate the outdated and conventional, not good way of working, because that's how it's been done since forever. And that needs to change, that needs to evolve.
But is it a step-by-step process here? Are we saying that the first step is digitizing the traditional kind of archaic processes so that they do become digitized? And then we go from there. Once we digitize, we begin to have information and collect information. Then we go from there to a more streamlined approach in the future. Or should we just be really questioning where we are and what we're doing today, so we just don't waste that time, effort, and resource?
I think it's a mix of both, in the way that we need to think, what are we currently delivering and why are we delivering that? So is someone actually reading that information or making use of that information at all, right? So we need to rethink what we are delivering and how we are delivering and the shape of what we are delivering and the content of what we are delivering. And now challenge and question, is this the optimal delivery?
Is there anything I can do differently to
Is there
improve?
something we can remove?
Yeah.
Is something we should add? And maybe we haven't been adding that because we didn't have the capacity or the capability or skill to do that before. But hey, we have technology, right? So that's probably something we can ask for. And if so, let's put it on the list of optimal, ideal scenarios of our deliveries and how we are delivering that.
An interesting one on that, I guess, like is the monthly report we talk about, and we talk about it a bit in the podcasts. That task of developing a Word report every month, to PDF it, to send it to clients, generally unread. Is there any value in doing that? What if there was accessibility to the information and the clients are allowed to analyze that information in their own way that gives them the result that they need, rather than just the repetitive process of doing and submitting a report?
And maybe think, what is the functionality of that report, right? Maybe they don't read it because the only purpose of it is archive, and being able to go back to it to claim or to actually seek information retrospectively. Yeah. But in that case, then I would challenge, maybe that's not the right format and the right shape to submit that report. If the final target or the final function of that report is to be able to compare and to be able to find it as an archive information, then maybe it's not a Word report, it's not a dashboard that you should be submit, and maybe it's more in the shape of a analytical table or something that allows you to extract quickly those analytics and those calculations, and that will be a better shape, even though it might look not so great and it might have less paragraph text, and then the highlights of that paragraph text, if the target is for someone to read and actually be aware of that, so that the decisions that are taken next month are taken into account those new facts, then maybe you need to push that information into someone's head. And I guess that you guys were discussing previously a different shape of this report that can be media, audiovisual, a meeting, conversation face to face.
Yeah, exactly. We go to point 2 here and we say, like, what is the ideal end result here for technology development and our progression as a profession and within the industry? What are we really looking for when we say we would like to change what we're now doing? You could say the report, right? Whether it's digital or not, or if it's PDF, whatever. What is the ideal end result here? Are we looking for better efficiency, reduce time, reduce costs, better quality, all of the above?
This is really what we need to think as professionals, and this is the feedback and the request that we need to transmit and share with the software and technology firms. We would love to have this as the end result, end game, optimal scenario will be this. Like wish high, like aim for the sky. Because
as crazy as you can, like,
we
in
are
your
very
thinking.
limited as construction professionals to the knowledge of what we know and what we have been working with and what we have been educated and we see in our network of professionals. But let's remember that we are talking with people from a totally different industry that may have a different approach. It may have a different mindset and what seems impossible for us to request. And that's why maybe we are not requesting it at the moment and we just go to the safe side and this is how I do it, so I want it this way. So let's try to change that and request different and see what they come back with. Because maybe they have the solution already. In other industries, it's been applied already. We just don't know about it.
So pushing that boundary of really our day-to-day tasks, our day-to-day deliveries, and saying, can we actually alter this completely so it becomes something completely different, both automated and better quality of information? But something came to my mind there when you were talking about that and the barriers that we have within the construction industry, you know, our agreements with our supply chain and our consultants affects how far we can push that barrier. And there we go. That's maybe it's the contracts that need to be absolutely altered and maybe automated again into smart contract type elements, our processes here, so that we now move away from this traditional model and we open it up completely to something that has never ever been done before. Yeah,
let's think that of course we have our deliveries, but then we also have all the other elements that we work in our daily, in our day to day. So our deliveries, we know what we need, but we should also challenge many other things. The way we communicate, the hardware we use potentially, right? Or in this case, the contracts or the business element of the profession. How are we invoicing? How are we claiming? How are we managing chains? All these pieces of the puzzle, they all can be challenged, and we should be wishing for better than what we are doing now. Definitely there is better ways. We just need to challenge them and maybe share these thoughts and these requests with all these.
Yeah, I think that's also important, right? The development of our profession, our industry cannot be done kind of internally and from an insular perspective. It should be outwardly, so that we together do it and promote it, and so that we're challenging how we do and what we do on a daily basis. So it is quite interesting, I guess, as an industry that we need to alter this. But one of the big challenges that we do have working with many different companies, again, is that mindset that we had, that we talked about in previous podcasts, that ability to really consider, can we be different? Can we be different? Can we work differently? And then allowing ourselves the opportunity to really allow our mind to expand. You know, as you say, you think as far as you can, the sky, the stars and beyond, about what we can do. And maybe it looks completely different today from a construction perspective.
It will look completely different because you can only improve things by actually changing things. So if we have the same delivery, then nothing has changed. Maybe the process behind, but the point is that I believe that the current deliveries and the current work we produce could definitely be improved, especially when it's proved, or like we know that sometimes doesn't have the impact or the function that it should have, or that we wish it have. The example, going back to the report, does people actually read the report? No, then I believe that the receiver of these reports will also be willing to hear alternatives. I'm not reading the report, there's too much text. All right, let's find a way to actually make it work, because it's important. You're paying me to do this report. You're not reading it, and something is failing. Let's find a solution. So both parties in this case, I think they will agree if it's not having the result that was expected. And this is applied again to everything.
So the report is an interesting one, because the information in that is key. Clients, consultants, stakeholders need to make decisions based on that information, and that decision needs to be timely. excuse me, so it doesn't impact the project. So if people aren't reading the reports, for example, using that as our analogy, then it's important that we understand why, and can we make it more fun for people to read so they actually are looking forward to the information, that could be also an aspect of, changing our profession. But so like, what steps should we take to get there? What steps should we take to really to challenge that technology development to make sure that it challenges us in what we do in our daily lives?
So in a way, like to achieve this optimal result, the one we have already challenged, we have aimed for the sky, we have now the ideal wish scenario of what we would like to have. Now, how do we get there? We start thinking, 80% of all the steps to get there, we are already doing them. They're very manual, that could be improved, all right. We are missing 20% that we don't know how to actually target and how to approach, because we don't have the knowledge of how to get there. Okay, then maybe different stakeholders from different industries say, that's very easy. You just create a robot that reads from the screen and does it for you. All right, I didn't know that exists. Okay, fine. So we have found the different steps to get there. What we should not do is to actually generate technology for those steps, to automate these steps, to improve these steps in any way. Don't. Like, stop there. Now you have identified all those steps that you need to go there.
So how do you go from A to Z but not take each of the steps? Can we just get there kind of in a different way, a different path?
Exactly. So part of the content, right? Let's try to cut those steps from the chain. How can we actually get from A to the end without going through the steps? And that's where we really, really need to put the efforts, not to develop technology, to fill the gap.
We're challenging the process.
Of digitalization on all the steps to get to the ideal scenario, but actually how to avoid those steps. Is it the case where we are actually requesting information from the original the stakeholders producing the original information, so that we get that information at the beginning, rather than actually try to generate or calculate or seek for it in the shape of whatever is a form that they fill in. So we don't need to find the different changes on this monthly report by actually going to the different documents and get them there, right? It's something that we can put in place to gather this information in a more streamlined way. So
just on that process then, like, and talking about the monthly reports, I don't know why we use this as an
I guess it's easy to have a very theoretical or very subjective conversation. By actually having in mind an applied example, because that brings you a picture, brings you an image.
So our monthly reports, right, generated every month, and we talked about this in previous podcasts as well. We, as QSs, quantity surveyors and cost managers, we spend time every month, fourth week of every month or the first week of the following month, generating these reports, pulling the information from minutes of meetings, cost plans, risk registers, change management logs, value engineering logs. Is putting me to sleep, to be honest, naming all these things out. But what's really kind of strange about it is that we've already put the effort in logging all the information. We've already put the risk on the risk register. We've already put the change on the change log. We've already put the minutes in the minutes of the meeting. And now what we're doing is we're taking that information and now we're moving it. And in some cases, we're rewriting it in another form, in another document. That sounds crazy to me. Why aren't we automating the information input or digitizing the information input in these forms so that we can use it elsewhere? Or can we collect that information without even inputting it somehow? So how do we formulate a risk register without actually putting any information in? Is that a possibility?
Do we need to collect it?
Yeah.
And can that actually be accessible straight away in a different shape where no one is actually collecting that at all because it's already there? And now this is the information we produce for ourselves, for our own deliveries. But a lot of information we use is also coming from external sources. And that's also applicable there, right?
So it is quite interesting. Like if we look at we'll take the risk register as an example here, and we'll take kind of projects, public projects. In all the public projects that have been built over the last 50 years, are we seeing today new risks that we have never seen before on the projects today? Or are we just repeating the process over and over again? If we had access to all the projects in the last 50 years and the information, could we not just automate the risk process and the risk management process because of the amount of data set that we have on previous projects? Would we ever actually have to sit down and look at the risks? Again, I'm only kind of speaking here about this principle and idea of not looking to automate what we do, but looking to remove the process completely through data and automation. You know?
But even the fact that we are talking of a risk register, a log, a table, is that actually effective? Is that actually being used in the proactive way, and is that having the impact and the mitigation expected or wished? How can we actually improve that? It doesn't need to be a log. Maybe it can be a game. Maybe it can be a way where you have points in the statistics, and you get actual reminders and notifications of what are the actions to be taken as part of your mitigation strategy to actually make that risk go away. So it is about, we really need to rethink and not just have a digital log online. It's a table. Now we don't use Excel and a PDF printout to bring to the meeting. Now we are changing the risk while we are in the meeting in an online table that everybody can access. That's great. That's a step forward. But it's just not good enough.
Yeah. But what has it really done for the project? Okay, it's collecting the information. It's kind of a baby step in a much larger process, I guess, digitizing it, yes. But really, what do we really want to take out of this? And I think that step-by-step analogy that you described, using that risk register and the end result of the risk register being the monthly report and the transfer of information, how can we go from that process of step one to the very end by doing something absolutely completely different?
So the way we work with this register is exactly the same as before. It's just now it's digital, and now it's accessible by everybody. It's more efficient because you have always the most recent version, and it's faster to update, it's faster to access. So it's more efficient. It's optimized as such, but we are still working the same way with that. Like with that tool, the register as is, nothing has really changed, and is real. So that means that if nothing has really changed on the way we work with it, the expected result of the impact of these risks and the mitigation strategies and what you want to achieve by tracking all these risks and avoiding risks in your project, that end result is going to be exactly the same because nothing has changed.
It's just a digitization of the information
yes.
right now. But again, I would go back to the kind of previous comment about moving too quickly, too fast. How does that impact the team and the people if the mindset's not there? Would the first step be going from an Excel-based or paper-based risk register to a digital process of data collection for a risk platform? The structure and tables are okay, but you're beginning to take people on the journey very slowly. Does that have? It must have its positivity or positive results, surely, than going from A to Z straight away.
Well, there is only one way to find out, I guess, right? If this new approach is really such a game changer, that means that implementing in the projects or actually following that new approach in the projects won't have the workload and the energy invested into it as the other process have. So there is always the possibility of running parallel tasks. It's a duplication in one project just as a test. Okay, let's do it conventionally while also having the source of information to do it on this optimal way. And let's see how it works after. Once the team by experience sees that that other approach is actually better, is having better results. Everybody leans towards that and start asking for that other delivery rather than the original one, right? That will be like proven by success that this is working, that the output has been thought. Like, for example, this will be like a marketing strategy, like a different industry practice applied to construction. Let's ask the end user what they need. How do you need it? Like, not what you need on my report, but actually what information you need. What are you interested in knowing, right? Leaving aside the report, leaving aside the risk, leaving aside anything. Like, what do you really need? Like that will be like this marketing approach of, let's find out what do you need and then let's get there. So let's have these two processes separate. The optimal one, optimize, where limited amount of effort is invested or more amount of effort is invested because the output is different, but better. And the conventional way, and let's see. And if that one works, the next project won't follow the conventional way of working, because that's what we have seen in projects working with BIM and 3D modeling, where the information is in a common data environment. No one goes back to the original way of working because it works.
But someone at some moment in time needed to invest time, effort, and money in. If you're arguing for two processes running at the same time, someone will have to invest in that time. Whether it is you as an individual, your company as a consultant, your client as the project owner, someone really needs to invest in that, I guess.
The very good thing is that these days that investment is really minimum. When you look at the man hours that we are putting into these extensive reports that take days of manually copying data from one document to another, that's actually very costly. Maybe you don't see the fee on an invoice paid to a software developer, but you see when you look at the hours, that's what it gets. And maybe the clients need to understand also that maybe they are not paying for the hours behind that, they are paying for the development. They are paying not that they are going to pay for the development of trying this, but that they will be saving they are not paying man hours, but they are paying for a better output. So that means that maybe this perceived value from the clients needs to change and not be seen as hours in the invoice, but actually I'm getting a better report and therefore I'm willing to pay for it extra, even if these other people are investing less man hours, but they've put the technology, they put licenses behind, and they've put a lot of development behind it.
And they have something that they can now repeat on the next project, but not having to redevelop it, but more improve it. So your efficiencies on the process, your efficiencies on the software improves project by project, meaning the cost of the investment initially reduces over the many different projects it can be used in the future.
But what also if they are paying more, but what they are getting is better, because we are always seeing as a benefit that it costs less. But maybe if that risk register has an impact, you are saving because you are removing all those risks, therefore you are getting benefit. You are just paying a little more ahead.
Yeah. So your cost for that process, that more efficiency, has a much greater value impact on your project on the back end, meaning that the overall cost of your project potentially comes down because your risk comes down, but you do have to pay more upfront or earlier in order to be able to reduce and mitigate. Okay.
Let's not forget that better value is not always linked to less money,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
If that actually has a very impact, if the decisions are actually more informed because people are aware of the facts of everything that is going on, like you're going to save it. Having a smooth project, having less problems, ultimately, obviously in construction, that always means less cost, right? But it might be also less time. It might be a happier team because the environment is much better. It might be also having a more motivated employees or more motivated team members because they are actually not doing something that is useless in their work.
So technology development, while it can improve our profession, it can also hinder our profession's development. So we should always be, I think the main kind of story and topic from this is we should always be challenging exactly what we're doing and challenging what we're asking for, so that we're getting the most out of the software development and our investments, rather than just asking, can you digitize my report? Can you turn my Excel into, a platform? Even like turning Excel into a Power BI output. Is that really what we're looking for? Or are we talking about something completely different?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also maybe a message to the software companies out there that are looking into getting, their a place in the construction industry. Don't listen to what we are asking for and straight away develop for that. Like, challenge us. We are not used to do things differently. Construction is one of the less evolved industries in the entire world. So don't listen at what we are asking for and try to improve that by doing the same, just digital. Like, challenge us, offer us better ways. We may be reluctant at first, but seek the market, like ask more stakeholders in the industry, because really there is people open-minded to try different ways, and definitely it is very much needed to jump some steps in the chain of what we are currently doing.
So I was just going to say, figure out your step-by-step process that you're trying to change, bin that, and then really concentrate on how do I go from A to Z as quickly as possible by changing the entire thing. I like it. It's a good story.
Jumping long.
Yeah. As quickly as possible. But Iliad, it's great to have you back as always, and we hope to see you again in the next podcast. But who knows? Thanks very much for listening. There's a LinkedIn link below in the show notes. We would love to connect with you.
We hope you enjoyed it and have you with us in the next one. Thank you very much.